Hey guys, continuing on from our last video about the edit profile form, I've added using headers and avatars in the profile management. And so if you save that, you can see that it gets edited in the profile manager, and you can upload images and that sort of stuff. So let's go over how I actually implemented this. Now, this is a form in the profile manager, and this is getting kind of messy, so I think I'll probably look into Formic or another React use hook that allows me to set initial variables based on React query calls and allow me to clean this up sort of a bit. Things like init and set init for initializing variables in a use effect. Like we just run this use effect once and then we set the init to false after we've set our variables, because we need to wait for the profile data to fill out while it's making that fetch. So something like Formic I think could really help with this. But just plowing on, let's look at the header and avatar implementation. So you can see this is in use state, so React state, and we have this file and gibber file type, or it can be null. And if we actually look at that, this is a type that is a web API file or a gibber file, and that's just imported from the Prisma client. And as the file model, if you actually look at that and the schema, then you can just see it's a file just stored in the database. And so continuing on, if we look at when a user, let's say a user already has files, then when the use effect runs, it'll set those up here. So now if we go back and edit file, you can see those images are already there because we've already set it. But let's say a user changes the file, then we have these input tags that run an onChange event when the file attached to them is changed. And you can actually, add a file to it by clicking a button. And we're just using a reference to click the input and then actually open that file selector like this. So that useRef is a reference to the input, and then the button just uses the reference to click it. And then when you actually attach a file, then let's say you attach a header, we just check if the files exist. If it does exist, then we set the header to be the file you selected, and also the gibber file, we just make up a gibber file in the same format so we can actually display it as like header.gibber.url, and that's used also in attachments for posts when you're actually previewing a post. And then when the user actually clicks submit, like the button, then it calls this on submit, and we use pre-signed URLs. You can check out one of my previous videos about using pre-signed URLs, but basically it allows a user to upload a file to your S3 bucket directly from the client, directly from the browser. So you don't have to basically proxy uploading a file. And it also works with gRPC and useQuery, which is why I am using this method. So basically just take the file and then we do a fetch event and put the file into the bucket. And then we create this header upload object and we store the key where we uploaded it at and also the extension of the file. And then we call a mutation, which we set up here, which is just calling the profile upsert to actually upsert and either update or create the profile based on what you're doing. And then it just runs that mutation. So if you actually look in the profile router, then you can see it'll run this upsert, and this is a protected procedure, meaning you have to be logged in to use it. So then we just take a header, which might be undefined, and an avatar, which might be undefined. Let's say the header is defined. Then we create an empty key, and then we upload the file, which this is just the same file same kind of method I used in that posting video I made about how you upload files with S3. So check that out. And we just get the name and the size and the type. And if you want to look at that, this is it's an upload file. So, we're just basically copying the old file and putting it into a new object and returning some stats about that. And then we just create a file in the database. And then we set the object to have a header ID to be the file ID. And let's say this header ID is now set. And so we just use the spread operator to set the header ID and the data that is then used to either update or create the profile. So now the user's header and avatar are set if they've uploaded them. And so that's just a quick overview on how I've implemented the header and avatar thus far in Gibber. Future improvements to be made, so subscribe for those. Thank you for watching.